Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. I am back with transfer talk, but unfortunately it's not to talk about incomings, it is to talk about a rather major outgoing at the football club. It was announced on Tuesday that club captain Max Ehmer, centre-back of 250 appearances, had left the club to join League One rivals Bristol Rovers on a 2-year deal. The uncertainty surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, a lack of start date for the 2021 season has been cited as a reason from our chairman Paul Scally that he simply won't offer contracts until he knows when the new season will commence. And unfortunately at the moment it's holding us back, rightly or wrongly. I know we all have different opinions on the way the football club should run, and there's plenty of experts on social media at the moment, we know that. Like I say, we all have our opinions, but troubling times, difficult times, uncertain times, and Max, 28 years old, approaching his prime as a centre-half, has decided to move to the Memorial Stadium on a 2-year contract, security, alongside another centre-back in Jack Baldwin, who they've got in, released by Sunderland at the end of last season. So Bristol Rovers going about some work efficiently in the transfer window. We're not, unfortunately, but that's for another chat. Max Ehmer, the player, 250 appearances, as I've already mentioned, over 50 as captain in 2 spells. He scored 15 goals in his 5.5 years in Kent, 83 wins and 56 clean sheets. I remember him first arriving back in the winter of 2014. He was brought in on loan. We were under the tutelage of Peter Taylor at the time, and I just thought he looked a good defender, but he was very young, very naive in some of the stuff that he did, and a little bit headless chicken at first. And I think the fact that he was booked 4 times in his first 11 games sort of emphasised that point. Maybe he was trying too hard, trying to make a good impression, but there was just stuff that he just needed to, polish within his game, and that was understandable. He was still a kid then, he was only 22. But yeah, he'd done all right the end of that season, and Peter Taylor left in the new year, and Justin Edinburgh took over in the February after the Gang of 4 had held things together for a month or so, and we ended up finishing 12th, and Max played a big part of that, and we was relatively comfortable in the end, and it was great to see. And I think 99% of the Gills fan base said if he's out of contract at his parent club, it'd be great to get him back in on a permanent deal, and lo and behold, that summer it was announced that we'd signed him on a 3-year contract, and we thought, yeah, we can push on here. And Justin was putting together a squad that was mainly full of youth and exuberance, but there was some experience still in the group. And 2015-16 proved to be a season where we finished in our highest position since the championship days. We ended up 9th, but we know it should have been and could have been so much better. Max had more competition that season from the likes of John Egan and Deji Osalaja, who was very good. Especially the first part of his loan spell before he was recalled momentarily by Cardiff because he had to go back to cover an injury crisis. And Max, I think, probably improved without playing loads and loads of games. He featured 33 times that season, and like I say, highest position since the championship day. So he played a big part in that. We all know and wish and dream that it should have been a lot more, because we were absolutely flying going into the new year, and there was talk of us going up as champions. We ultimately missed out on the playoffs completely, which was hugely frustrating, disappointing, heartbreaking. And then we moved into 2016-17, and Justin was given good money to spend. I think we was bringing in big players, the likes of Jet, Paul Konchesky, Jamie O'Hara, Lee Martin, Scott Wagstaff. And we thought, as fans, yeah, we can kick on. And Max scored a goal on the opening day of the 16-17 season at Roots Hall, a really good glancing header, and I can still see the celebration now. Runs to the away fans in that white strip, white shirt, white shorts and red socks, and a little bit of the Ronaldos in the celebration, the turning arms up back to the crowd. And we won 3-1, and Phil Brown famously quoted and said, if we keep Jet fit, we'll win the league. We all know what happened that season. We ended up in a relegation battle, unfortunately, and Jet disappeared in February for one reason or another, and Lee Martin missed most of the campaign injured, and we stumbled from one disaster to another effectively, didn't we? But one thing that remained a constant was Max Ehmer. And when A.D. Pennock arrived in the January of 2017, he gave him the captain's armband, thought highly of him. Max didn't embrace it, I don't think, and he's happily admitted that since. I think he's mentioned it as recently as in the last day in his interview with his new club, Bristol Rovers. We really struggled. Max struggled, I think, and I said that to him when I spoke to him for the channel at the back end of that season after we'd survived on the final day, and I thought that it hindered his game, it hindered his performances, it was weighing him down. And he's big enough to admit that he wasn't ready at the time and he didn't want it. But who would turn down the captain's armband of the club you're playing for? That's the thing. As I say, we stayed up by the skin of our teeth. And we moved into 2017-18 and A.D. Pennock was swiftly replaced by Steve Lovell. And one player that came in during that period of time was Gabriel Zakuani on a 2-year deal, and he became our captain. And Max has very openly praised Gabby and said that he helped him become a proper defender, a better defender, a more rounded defender. He learnt that he had to defend first and foremost, because we know Max has got 2 good feet, can pick a pass, he can bring it out from defence. He's got most of the things that you'd want in a modern day centre-half. I still get slightly frustrated when I see defenders doing Cruyff turns on the edge of their own box myself, because I'm still from the era that says you're a defender first and foremost. But the game's changed and we all have to move on a little bit. But Max improved that side of his game, the defensive side, and just got better and better. And I think over the last 3 seasons, he's been generally very good, very consistent. And yeah, like I've already mentioned, he's improved himself as a defender. His positional sense is better. His reading of the game's good. He's not out and out quick, so he has to use his brain. But I think over the last couple of seasons, and especially this previous season that's just gone, he's developed into one of the best in League One, certainly. Yeah, he's just a more rounded centre-back. Can win it in the air. He's a threat in both boxes. Like I say, he can play when he has to, but he now knows when to just clip it in behind the opposing fullback or centre-half and get rid, rather than trying to do too much with it and try and be too clever, too cute. And yeah, as we fast forward through 2017-18, 18-19, into the previous season just gone, Steve Evans took over as manager and appointed Max as captain, and he embraced it this time. And again, I think it improved him. It improved him as a leader. It improved him in and around the dressing room, maybe. But it certainly helped him in terms of his performances on the pitch, because by far and away his most consistent season. He only missed 20 minutes of the league campaign. But if you look at the stats, he's classed as playing in every single minute because of the fact that we had no substitutes left when he dislocated his shoulder at home to Wimbledon at the back end of February, the game that proved to be his final home appearance. But says all you need to know about his character, that a week later he was leading us out of the stadium alight. And I think it's come out since in the press via Max or Steve Evans that he popped his shoulder out the day before, or a couple of days before Tranmere back in the summer in training. Still played on the Saturday, still put in a decent performance. And I think it's fair to say you can probably count the amount of errors that Max Ehmer made last season on one hand. Very hard pressed to remember an awful game that he had. Generally just more consistent. Probably didn't score as many as he'd have liked last season. He got 1 at home to MK Dons in a 3-1 win just before Christmas. But talking of goals, 2016-17, he got 7. That was the season we were really poor and really struggled. When he lost 1 game that Max scored in that campaign, we took 16 points from 21 when he netted. That was 5 wins, a draw and a solitary defeat at Coventry. So he played a huge part in scoring goals that ultimately helped us stay up, because it was, you know, seat of your pants time that final day at Northampton. We all know we was there. It was awful. It wasn't fun. And I said straight afterwards that day that I was so glad that season was out of the way and we'd managed to survive. I see the club have tweeted all of his goals, which is nice to see, but it'd have been great to see if they tweeted a video maybe of him doing his job. The tackles, the winning headers, the positional sense, the leading, the looking after the Jack Tuckers and the Connor Ogilvies. And I think he's been really good at doing that now, because he was a senior defender in there with Barry Fuller. And Barry didn't start the season or play all the games, sorry, because he picked up a couple of injuries. But I think he led Connor at centre-back, even Alfie Jones at centre-back, and then Jack Tucker at centre-back really well. Coached them through games, was talking to him all the time. I've said before, I don't think he was a huge shouter, bellower, yeller, like a Tony Adams type, like an old school captain. Again, the game's moved on, but he talks to his players next to him and around him, and then allows other players further up to pitch to sort of, he trusts them to do their leadership bit, like Stuart O'Keefe talking to the midfielders. But really, really good. And yeah, just a shame the club didn't, like I say, emphasise the fact that he's a very, very good defender rather than a defender that scores a few goals. But 15 in 250 games is a really good return for a centre-half. So Bristol Rovers are going to get a player that's a threat from corners and set pieces. In terms of favourites for me, the Doncaster one away was a really good finish, but I wasn't there for that away day when he slapped one in the top corner. The late winner at Shrewsbury when we'd come back from 2-0 down a few seasons ago after Jet had scored a couple. Favourite one I saw was at home. It was Peterborough, I think February 2018, and we'd given them a really good go. And you know what Peterborough are like, they've got good players all the time. They play good football. They're a threat offensively. We were 1-0 down, and Max had been chucked up front. I think the ball bounced from about 25 yards from goal. One touch on his chest out of his feet, and then he's just absolutely hammered it. And it's probably not got no further than 3 or 4 inches off the floor all the way to the goal from about 20 yards. And it's gone straight through their keeper. And the celebrations were maybe slightly over the top at the time. It was like we'd won the league, but there was a small pitch invasion in the corner of the Rainham end where it meets the Gordon Road stand for a 1-1 draw, which didn't make me laugh. But I just remember the bundle with the fans and the players, and we were going mad in the Rainham end, and it was just everything that you want to be and want to see in your team when you're a football fan of your club. And it was a really good finish as well for a centre-back, and like I say, can play. He takes set pieces. He scored one at Colchester in a league trophy game, and that was like, whoa, didn't know Max had that in his locker, a good goal. Yeah, but to sum up, a really solid centre-half, 2 good feet, decent enough in the air, good size, gets about the pitch. He's not out and out quick, but he reads the game a lot better now. And off the pitch, he's a really top fella. He's a dad, he's got 2 young children. He's a real family man. I'd imagine that's probably had a huge bearing in his decision to take this contract with Bristol Rovers if we're not able to offer anything substantial or concrete at the moment. And you can understand that. And in terms of the footballer, Bristol Rovers have got a very good player. So we wish Max well. We'll see him, if we're allowed in grounds next season, I imagine, at the Priestfield and at the Mem. Good luck, Max, is all I want to say. It's been a pleasure the last 5.5 years. Thank you for the chat that you gave us a couple of years ago. Yeah, what are your best memories, Gills fans, of Max Ehmer? Your thoughts on him? Where would you rank him in terms of his stature within the club? We had a chat on Facebook page the other day about club legends, and I said I didn't think he was quite in the club legend bracket. He'd probably have to, excuse me, win a promotion. That's not going to happen now, unfortunately, but he's certainly up there in terms of very good footballers that I've seen. And to put it in a context, he's been very good in a side that's been predominantly mid-table in League One as well. Just let us know. You know where we are: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube. Comment down below, get involved. Best memories, thoughts, general overview, and wish him all the best. Right, we'll be back soon, hopefully. Believe we might have a date for a new season on Friday the 24th of July, fingers crossed. So we might have something to talk about in a few days. Till then, stay safe and up the Gills.